Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MD's Baseball Podcast. Today is Wednesday, June 29th. It's our 34th episode. And guys, just wanted to throw this out at the top today. If you guys been enjoying the podcast so far this year, we would just ask if you could give us a little, 5-star rating and write a little review for us on Spotify or Apple. And if you're on here watching on YouTube, we ask you just hit the subscribe button and you throw us a little like. It really goes a long way. We truly would appreciate it. And I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here with my co-host, as always, my brother Matthew Ane. Matt, how you doing today, brother?
Doing great, man. Baseball,
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
3-day weekend.
There you go, my brother. Can't be complaining, right?
Yep.
Yankees pulling out the wins, man. We're still
Yep.
rocking and rolling. Love to see it. Love to see it, right?
Yes, sir.
As always, gonna get it rocking with the finger on the pulse. And we got an interesting one today. I know it's been in the news a little bit, so we figured we throw out our thoughts on it. Freddie Freeman, man, it looks like he's all worked up, went back to Atlanta last week, and just those memories and everything must have been flowing because it seems like he fired his agent. And I don't know, man. It looks like he's upset, wanted to stay in Atlanta. It looks like he was with Excel. They couldn't get the deal done for him. And whew, it's all worked up. So you know what? I figured what we would do, from a fantasy perspective, is just talk about how things have been going so far for Freddie Freeman and the new first baseman in Atlanta, Matt Olson, right? Because I know everybody was loving them some Matt Olson in the preseason, and he's kind of just been, I'd say, underperforming by a little bit, right? So on the year, Mr. Matt Olson has played 75 games. He's got 285 at bats. He's got 31 runs, 12 bombs, 42 RBIs, no steals, and he's hitting 253, right? So now, if you go to Matt Olson's career numbers, in 7 years in the league, he's a 252 hitter. So it looks like he's like right on track there. But he hit 271 last year, and he hit 267 in 2019. So I think some people might have been expecting a higher batting average in that department, and so far he has yet to live up to it. But it's been interesting on both ends. Just to throw out what Freddie's doing, Freddie's got the batting average. He's batting average up at 306, got 8 bombs, 46 RBIs, 7 steals, 48 runs, 288 at bats in 73 games. So you're right on the money with both of them. Very, very close in games and at bats. And it's just kind of looking like, Freddie's still that guy at 32 years old. Looks like the Braves might have, messed up at least for the next couple of years here. What are you
Yeah.
thinking about all this, Matt?
I mean, this is how I'm looking at it. I really do wish Freddie was still in Atlanta. It's a different team with him there.
Yeah,
That's for sure. But I mean, Matt Olson has took a big old duty up until the last like 2 weeks. He double donked last week. It kind of saved the week, but he is hitting 273 over the last 2 weeks too. He's got 11 ribbies over the last 2 weeks, which is great. But Mr. Good Old Freddie's got 9 runs, 3 bombs, 12 ribbies, 2 steals to boot, and batting 400. So,
monstrous.
I mean, the guy on a new team, hasn't really been cranking out the home runs yet, but still awake, still thriving. You know, he's an exception to my rule, it seems. And I think he's only got more to come because, the home runs are not there yet. And he hits about anywhere from 30 to 35. And I still think I'm a believer he's still got a 40 season to come. So,
Very
and
possible.
not for nothing, that fantasy value on those chip in steals are pretty great because last year, let's see, he only had.
He had 8 on the whole year last year. He's already
Right.
got 7 this year.
Right. So those are real nice. Maybe they're just letting him have a little fun out there and saying, "Hey, go steal a base." And if he starts cranking up and starts getting to like 15 stolen bases on the year, he takes it to a whole nother level of excellence because he was already my number one first baseman going into the year.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? He's really showing why. And if he's adding that fifth category to his dynamic in the game, forget about it. He's like a top 10 player overall going into the next year if he keeps this stuff up.
Matt, I think you nailed that analysis. I couldn't have said anything better myself. I'm with you spot on everything there. I truly think the Braves should have kept Freddie, even if it was a shorter contract and they went more money for the guy on a per year basis. It was totally worth it. As you said, he's chipping in all these extra steals now. He's a 5 category guy. I'm agreeing with you. He's going in the first round of drafts next year. He totally should be. And I think you actually nailed it, Matt, because I had Vlad Guerrero Jr. as my number one first baseman, and he's kind of just been, kind of mid so far, and it looks like you hit the nail on the head with your call having Freddie over him, right? So I'm going to give you all the credit in the world there. We're not going to really, keep going on too much here with Freddie versus Matt Olson, but it's been interesting so far with the way things have played out for both players and both teams so far, right? So with all that being said, we'll move into some news and notes here as always. Matt, just cut me off at any point in time, right? So start off with a big one here. Max Scherzer had his rehab start pushed back by 1 day, just to being careful here with that oblique with him. They're saying that everything is fine. Just wanted to give him 1 more day of rest. But, always keep an eye on that. They are saying that he should be back around the 4th of July. I think that they said from the 4th to the 10th. So just keep an eye on that one, guys. I think he's going to be back sooner than later, just dominating as he should be, right? Closer for the Pirates, David Bednar. He is day to day with a sore back. I don't know who they're going to throw as the backup, but it's the Pirates. So, we always got some good closer replacements coming up in the waiver wire segment for you there. So hang on. Another closer that went down is Kenley Jensen, and we wish this guy the best, man. You never want to hear this. He's headed to the IL with a regular heartbeat. I know he's dealt with this in the past before. The Braves did come out and saying that he is going to be eligible he's going to come back when he's first eligible from the IL. So that is good news. But here at the MDs, we hear something like that. We wish Kenley the best. Please, man. I hope everything's all right with you and your heart. Then we got my boy Bryce Harper. He got that surgery on his fractured thumb today. He's going to be out at least 6 weeks. So we're looking at like late August for Harper's return, and that's if everything goes smoothly. So once again, guys, we're going to keep you covered here with the MDs on the waiver wire segment. Just keep an eye out. We got you covered.
I think he's done for the year.
Could be
because he already has the elbow issue where he really can't throw. And at this point, if he's going to take at least a minimum of 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? They might just say, screw it, and let's just get taken care of that elbow as well so he can play 100%. Because to be honest, and this is just from a real baseball perspective, you're kind of slowing up and getting the other guys kind of tired because he's hogging up the DH spot. So, you allow Schwarber and Castellanos and Hoskins to get a little break in between and play DH. And get somebody that can actually play defense because those three guys can't.
Yeah, that's true. That's killing the Phillies is that poor outfield defense, man. I hear that.
So, I mean, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time that Bryce Harper's down because you don't want to lose that bat in the lineup, but at the same time, it helps refresh the rest of the guys. And you know what? You don't have to get more sit days. It kind of just allows them to play DH and kind of get a little bit more relaxing experience and time to recover. So as sad as this is, may give fantasy bump to those other players.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I'd keep an eye out here. We got all the July. We got around maybe like 12, 14 weeks left. So I think we see Bryce Harper again. I'll tell you this, though. I wouldn't be shocked if that elbow starts healing up nicely. Then they say, hey, the elbow is going to take like another extra 2 weeks. So the 6 weeks turns into 8 because they want the elbow to be right and they want him back out in the field. So I wouldn't be surprised if he missed a little extra time if the elbow needs a little bit more. But it is good to see him out anyway to get that elbow right, get the thumb right, and just keep an eye on that situation because it's going to be developing week to week. And just keep an eye on the progress with Harper. And, here at the MDs, we're definitely going to let you know how Bryce is doing, right? So to keep it going here, we got Tyler O'Neill with that hamstring. He is on track to start a rehab assignment early next week. They're saying it's only going to take them, maybe 2-3 games before they get him back up in the bigs. Once again, just keep an eye on that situation for Tyler O'Neill. We got some good news here for Fernando Tatis Jr. Kind of been waiting on this for a long time, right? He plans to join the Padres. They're saying late July or early August. His last CT scan showed a lot of good progress. They're saying he's going to start ramping things up over the next couple of days here. So, good news for Tatis. He should be back sooner than later. We got Ronaldo Cunha. He's still day-to-day with the foot, but they're saying he should get back in that lineup tomorrow. Just once again, keep an eye on him with those phalanges this year, man. I don't even think it's him. I think it's the Braves just like not controlling him properly,
He got hit with a ball, bro.
He hit it off his own foot, right?
Right.
He hit it off his own foot.
That was like a freak accident.
Yeah,
it's not even no phalanges. That's just a terrible incident.
Yeah, he's just been in and out of that lineup a lot this year. So I kind of get a little worried about it when I see him out. But hey, if he's going to be back tomorrow, you know what? Then no need to be too concerned. Just make sure those Braves, kind of keep him in check while he's, while he's a little banged up there. We got some good news for Brandon Lowe owners. He started taking BP. They're saying he's going to be back around the All-Star break. He had that, that backspin back and acting up on him this year. But once he gets back in that lineup, yeah, the phalanges with him a little bit, but I think once he's back, guys, he's another guy guy. I would say if you can go out and get him like dirt cheap right now, which I think you probably could in some situations, that's going to be a steal. He's a pretty good hitter when he's in the lineup, right?
He's had the case of the Monteses for the last couple of years.
Yeah. But like I said, I think he's a good baseball player. I think when he's healthy, he's going to be rocking and rolling. If you can get him for a cheap right now, it's
Oh
going to be
yeah.
a steal. Yeah. Then we got some bad news here, guys. This is a developing situation. Matt, if you want to hit the Google on me for this one while I'm talking about it, I appreciate it. So Yordan Alvarez and Jeremy Pena of the Houston Astros were in a collision today in left field. I think they're saying that Yordan took Jeremy's elbow to the face, and he had to be carted off the field. That's Yordan Alvarez had to be carted off the field. He wasn't able to get up on his own power and get off. Jeremy Pena was also removed from the game as well. I don't know what's the exact injury with him was, but he was banged up in that collision as well. So I think they're both going to at least miss a.
So Pena shared. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, sorry. I'm reading as we speak.
Yeah, no, you're good. It just
Pena said he was okay.
Okay, so Pena's looking a little bit better.
Yordan wanted to stay in the game, but Yordan's not a guy you pick to turn into, or So,
yeah, that's a guy you'd be extra careful with. He's the future of the Astros there.
Exactly.
So that was probably more precautionary. All right, so Matt's got the update there for us, guys. Looks like they're both going to be okay here, but I'd say Yordan might miss a day or two. Pena might miss a day or two. Just keep an eye on that. See what the Astros do with the both of them there. We wish them both well. You never want to see guys collide like that in the field, right?
Shoot a flyer trade out there for Yordan.
Yeah, real quick. I'll tell you this. I shot a couple trades out there for Yordan, a couple of my leagues. The guy laughed at me. He goes, "You thought I was trading Yordan?" I was like, all right, my bad. So, all right, we'll keep it rocking here with the news and notes. Manny Machado with that ankle, they're saying he's going to be back this weekend, possibly. That's very good news for Manny Machado owners and the Padres. Jacob deGrom threw 27 pitches in a bullpen yesterday. They're saying he could be back by the end of July with that shoulder injury. Just once again, keep an eye on him because the Mets are going to play that one super safe with their ace, right? Aroldis Chapman could be back Friday. But here's the thing, guys, and I threw this out there a couple weeks ago. He himself came out and said he's not the guy in the back of the bullpen anymore getting those saves. And with what Clay Holmes is doing, he's going to be an all-star this year. So in my opinion, if you got Chapman, I'd say it's pretty much safe to drop him at this point, especially in leagues that don't count holds or like anything like that, because he's not going to be getting the saves, I don't think, anytime soon unless Clay Holmes gets hurt. Next up, we got another closer here. We got Liam Hendrix of the Chicago White Sox. He got that forearm strain. He's ramping things up. Once again, they're saying he could be back around July 4th. So, Kendall Graveman owners, be ready to, maneuver once Hendrix get back, because Graveman ain't getting those saves when Hendrix is back, right? We got Seiya Suzuki of the Chicago Cubs. He's been out a while with that finger, right? They're saying he could start his rehab assignment Wednesday, though. And, maybe he gets a couple weeks down there in the minors, comes back up. And, he was doing pretty good there. And I think before he got banged up, he was slowing down a little bit. But you know what? Seiya Suzuki can contribute in a bunch of different categories. So, get him active, in a couple weeks, probably. Ooh, bless you, my brother.
Thank you. Sorry about that, guys.
You're good. Last one here on the news and notes. This one just today as well. Another one of my boys, Matt's favorite players as well. Jazz Chisholm. They're starting to look like those phalanges are kind of weak because he's headed back to the IL with back spasms, and we've seen all sorts of different back spasm injuries this year, from a couple days to a couple months with a guy like Chris Bryant, right? So it's never fun to hear that, guys. Once again, we're heading into the waiver wire segment here. We're going to talk some replacements for you guys with all of these injuries piling up. And I'm sure you've heard enough of my voice, so I'm going to let my brother Matt pick somebody here. Matt, who are we going first today?
All right. Let's go with Mr. Moncada.
Ooh, Yon.
Yep. So Yoan Moncada finally back. He's got some phalange issues his whole career.
Yes, sir.
So he played about 111 at bats this year. He did not start off hot either. I'm going to be completely honest. But he's been back, and I guess he played one game, and he went 2 for 5 and got a run and 2 ribbies. Mm-hmm. The talent is astronomical if you can actually put it back together, because he had that one season, I think, what was it, 19?
He was pretty good. He was good in 18 and 19. Yeah, 19 is the year you're referring to. 19 was a really big year.
Yeah, 19 was that year. It also took him like 3 years to get there. Then COVID, all that crud. But I mean, the talent is there. He was supposed to be the future before we even heard the
Yeah.
names Luis Roberts and Eloy and all that wonderful stuff. So if he can string it together and be like a second half MVP for you, he's definitely worth it. Last year we were drafting him pretty high just based off of the fact of what he did in 19 and kind of gave up on the COVID year. And, he kind of burned us, but I think that value is there now at a free 99 situation. He is how much owned?
46.
46% owned. So he's still available in most leagues. I'd go scoop him up, especially
Yeah, Matt.
Bengals.
I think you nailed the analysis there. I'll be honest with you. There's not really too much more I'm going to add here, except you know what, man? I think he hasn't been really given a fair shake. Like Matt said, the phalanges are weak. He's had a couple of years where he's been banged up, and when you're trying to play through injury, sometimes your numbers don't reflect really the type of guy you are. And once again, this is another year. Let's see how he's recovering from the injuries. As Matt stated, he played in his first game. I believe it was yesterday, went 2 for 5. So that's a good sign. You definitely want to see that. In 2021, he had a pretty decent year. He hit 263. He had 14 bombs, the 61 RBIs, 3 steals, 74 runs. It was 144 games for the kid. Yoan Moncada, once again. I think he's a very talented young player. And just, if you need somebody that's playing third base, which has been a hard position to fill this year, there has not been a lot of elite third basemen this year. Yoan Moncada could definitely be somebody that could, help you out here down the stretch as long as he stays healthy, right? So let's go into our next guy here. And you know what, man? It's just somebody I like, and I'm kind of upset that I dropped him in a couple of leagues when he got cold, and that's Juan Yepez, man. I was raving about this guy, earlier in the year. He was one of the sweethearts of the Arizona Fall League this year, in the offseason, and he was raking, right? And he's only kind of been doing the same so far this year in the bigs, right? So Juan Yepez so far this year in the bigs, he's got 21 runs, 9 bombs, 24 RBIs, and a 277 batting average, and that's in only 159 at bats. So that power is legit. 9 bombs and 159 at bats and a 277 in batting average. I think Juan Yepez has a very, very bright future in this league. On Yahoo, he's eligible at first, third, and outfield. It's just the guy's really getting it done. And I just wanted to check one last thing here before I stop talking about him. He's 24 years old. 24 years old, right? So sky is the limit for Yepez. I think he's going to be a staple in that in that St. Louis lineup for years to come, man. He's just somebody I'm very, very high on, and he is only 33% owned. I think a lot of people like myself dropped him when he got cold, and he's definitely been heating back up the past couple weeks here.
Yeah, I mean, he was straight drop it like it's hot at one point, but I'll say one thing, you got to give him this. Even though he was cold as hell over the last month, he was still batting 280 over the last month. Sorry, I'm stuttering. And still 277 over the whole season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was really just the counting stats that really weren't there for him. But, I mean, this last week was astronomical. 3 runs, 3 bombs, 7 ribbies, batting 280. So, I'm going to give him a knock and say, hey, it's definitely time to scoop him back up.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just one of those bats where, he's either streaky or he's just, having a little dry spell or a little
yeah, young kid, first year in the bigs, sometimes they got those ups and downs, but if he's still hitting 277 total on the year with those ups and downs, man, he's going to be great. I think, my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to another bat here, and let's go with Nico Horner.
Yeah, perfect. You got it, my brother.
I'm gonna mess that up one more time. Don't worry. I'm trying to find my man's stats over here. Here we go. Chicago Cubs, 27% owned. He had a nice little week last week. 5 runs, 1 bomb, 5 ribbies, batting 565. On the year he's hitting 304. Counting stats are okay. He's got 24, 22, and 6. That's nice with those chip-in steals. You can't get mad at it. Chicago Cubs are really man. He's second base too, which is a nice little bonus.
And short.
So you know what? You're getting that kind of production, and he's not killing you in batting average. I sound like a broken record with this, but batting average off the waiver wire is hard to come by. So let it rock.
Yeah, man. I'll say this. Nico Horner was a name that when he was coming up, he wasn't like a high end prospect, but he was. People were talking about him and stuff. And at 25 years old with the Cubs, he's finally getting his like I'd say first year full shake here. He's had in 2020 he had 108 at bats. In 2021 he had 170 at bats. Oh, I'm sorry, that was plate appearances I read off. It was 149 at bats last year, and then 108 the year prior in 2020 for Nico Horner. And this year, the Cubs are letting him play. He's got 59 games this year, 204 at bats, 20 runs, 4 bombs, 22 RBIs, and 6 steals. The guy's fast, man. A guy that's giving you a 304 batting average and 6 steals in only 59 games, it's very, very solid. And that second and short, as Matt stated, he could definitely do worse. He's been hitting fifth in the Cubs lineup, knocking in those guys in the top. I totally think he's worth a shot here right now. 27% owned for Nico Horner of the Chicago Cubs. You go out there and you give him a shot, especially if you need a couple steals and you need to get your batting average up. I totally think he's worth a shot. Now, somebody that we have not talked about yet on this podcast that we totally should have as Yankee fans here is our catcher, Mr. Jose Trevino. Man, this guy's been really, really good for the Yankees and anyone that's had him in fantasy up until this point, right? Now, catcher's been a tough position to fill this year, in my opinion, especially if you're playing in those 2 catcher leagues, right? And he's only 17% owned, Jose Trevino. And I know there's 2 catcher leagues out there where he's not owned where he should be, right? On the year, Mr. Trevino's got 19 runs, he's got 6 bombs, 24 RBIs, 1 steal, and a 271 batting average, and that's in limited at bats. That's 129 at bats. My opinion, Kyle Higashioka, I'm sorry, buddy, but you need to, move your butt out of the way for Mr. Trevino on most nights because this guy is too legit. Once again, catcher for the New York Yankees. You guys go out there and get him, especially if you're hurting that catcher right now.
And I mean, it's not like catcher's like a position that's always so stable anyway. So I mean, with this kind of production out of your catcher slot, that's a home run for you. He may not hit you a lot, but he's going to help you in every other category. But let's move on to our last guy here in bats, at least, and that's Yuri Gurio. Hopefully, I didn't botch that up. Yuli.
No, you had it. Yeah, Yuli Gurio, you had it.
All right. So he's batting great in terms of batting average over the last 2 weeks, which is good. He's putting up some production. Last 2 weeks, 5 runs, 3 bombs, 6 ribbies, 282. Now, flat face, that ain't that wonderful, but at least it's something. It's somebody that's serviceable, and he's not killing you in batting average. So, he's worth at least an ad. And you know what? The guy is a good player. I mean, last year, he had a great season. Not really a home run guy, but he's an average runs and ribby guy. So, the counting stats are there, especially since he's on Houston. There's that opportunity to at least, chip in some runs and ribbies because he had 83 runs and 83 runs and 81 ribbies. Batted 319 last year and still had 15 bombs. So, even if he does what he did last year, you still have 12 more home runs to get out of him. No, I lied. 9 more home runs to get out of him and still like 60 runs, 60 ribbies. So, I mean, there's still a lot of season left for him to catch up to do what he did last year. And if he's going to keep that batting average, how you doing?
Yeah, man. Matt, you once again, your analysis has actually been on point today, my brother. You've been killing it here. Yeah. So my thing is as Matt said, he's got like 9 more home runs in the other areas. He's got more to give too, right? And also the batting average. He's a career 288 hitter. I don't know what's going on with Yuli this year. I mean, I know he's 38 years old, but man, I see that batting average going up. So in the second half, he could be a guy that really, really like carries your team in batting average and in those counting stats as well, as Matt stated in that Houston Astros lineup, man. And I know he's usually hitting in the middle of it somewhere. I'll tell you exactly. He's been hitting looks like he's been hitting 6th recently, right? 5th or 6th. So that's still a good spot in that lineup. That's a spot where he's driving in Tucker. He's driving in all those other guys that hit a couple of spots ahead of him. And he's chipped in 3 steals so far this year too. So that helps out. I don't know how many more we're gonna expect from him. But hey, if you had him up until this point, you got those steals. He's first base eligible and he's only 44% owned on Yahoo. Once again, that's Yuli Gurriel. I'd go out there and I'd snag him. If he's available in your league, you need a first baseman, you need some batting average. He's definitely going to be a guy that's going to help you in those categories, right? So let's transition to starting pitchers here real quick. Matt, actually, why don't you talk about this guy? It's one of your boys. He's on his way back soon. Mr. Jacob Junis. I totally think he's a little sneaky stash right now.
Junis is definitely great, definitely worth an ad at this point. Unfortunately, because of the injury bug always kicking me in the butt since before the season started.
Yeah, forget
Um,
about it, right?
I had to drop him unfortunately, but he's been killing it. I mean, his overall for the year is fantastic. 4 wins, 40 Ks, 280, 263 ERA with a .96 WHIP, and 48 innings. And to be honest, he's usually more than a K per nine kind of pitcher. So there's definitely some upside for to get more Ks. I'm really excited to see what he can do when he comes back. What's funny is the name because he's been doing this he's been in the league for a couple years, and he always had like a couple months of pure genius.
Yeah, yes.
And then at some point, the other shoe drops and the floor falls out from under you, and he kind of just takes it outright poo. But it looks like this year he's kind of coming together, and this injury just unfortunately was a little bit annoying in its hamstring. So he's probably throwing a little too much gas for himself. And now he's got to catch up and get a little rest. But definitely scoop him up at this point. I don't know when he's coming back though. They didn't say like rehab games or anything. Let me double check my news.
Yeah, what I'm seeing here is that they're having him ramp up.
Bullpen.
Yeah, he's been throwing bullpens. He's getting ready. What I'm seeing is before the All-Star break. So you're talking about probably mid-July. He might miss him for a couple more weeks. Matt, I'm sorry if did I cut you off?
No, you're good though. I appreciate it. The only thing I'll say is they say before All-Star break, but usually when they say they're throwing bullpen sessions, you got to think about it this way. Tomorrow's July. Friday is July 1st, right? So tomorrow for you guys. Now you're going to say, okay, he's going to throw a bullpen session, his first one over the weekend. Then he's probably going to throw about 2 or 3 more next week. Then they'll decide whether he can actually get a rehab game. So he may not be back before the All-Star break because the All-Star break's actually in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's like middle of July.
So I think if anything, he'll be back that first week of after All-Star break, which is great. But I mean, he's probably if anybody's like a smart fantasy baseball player, they're probably going to scoop him up now if you have the IL spot. But this year has just been horrendous with injuries. So if you've been one of those lucky teams, scoop him up.
Yeah, I'll say this. I know we've, it's getting harder and harder every week to find good starting pitchers to add. And if you're in any type of competitive league, that's just how it is, right? So what we've been doing here at the Fantasy MDs is we're trying to provide you with good quality starting pitchers. We're not just gonna just throw out the most added starting pitcher every week. We want to talk about guys we believe in. We want to talk about guys that are going to help your fantasy teams, not just any name. So we might be providing you with some guys that are on the IL right now, but we firmly believe when they come back that they're going to get the job done for your teams. I know we talked about Dustin May 2 weeks ago. I know we talked about Garrett Whitlock last time out, and we're talking about Jacob Junis today. But these are guys we believe in. I know there's some other podcasts out there that just want to talk about anybody. We're talking about guys that we firmly believe in. We back these guys. We might not be right every time, but these are guys we back. And especially with Jacob Junis going to San Francisco, they fixed something there with the mechanics. He looks like a new type of pitcher. He looks better with the low ERA, the low WHIP. He's almost had a strikeout per inning. He's just really getting it done this year. And I think when he comes back, it's going to be a lot more of the same. He's only 29 years old, so that, it's a little bit older, but he's still in a spot where he could have figured something out and he could be useful for the next 2-3 years for a team like San Francisco. And I love the 0.95 WHIP. He just looks like a really, really good pitcher this year. He's only 19% owned on Yahoo. So if you do have the spot on your IL and you're fortunate enough to stash him there, I would totally, totally do it. So go ahead, my brother. Yeah.
So a little breaking news.
What's
up? Blue Jays Sox just cleared the bench.
Oh my God. Hold on. I got to see if I can find that on TV.
So Nick Pivetta just plucked Alejandro Kirk.
Oh my God.
And, so Vladdy came running out at Pivetta, and it's been a brawl. The whole bench is out there. People are running from the bullpen out in outfield. Like things are things that heating up. So everybody, we'll give you more information. I might drop a little post later in the
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah, guys, we'll
Because
keep you posted on that one. Oh
there's
Lord.
there's suspensions coming, and if Vladdy landed a full blown punch, we might see like a week or two suspension just
Oh,
for that.
forget about it. We had the suspensions just come out a couple days ago from
Right.
that bench clearing brawl between who was it, Seattle and the
Yeah.
Angels, right? Winker got a bunch of games. Even Anthony Rendon got some games. Julio Rodriguez got 2 games. So there's
Yeah.
definitely going to be some games here, guys. We'll keep you posted on that one. That is a big, big, big time news and news here. So keep rocking with our waiver wire after that big one. Wow, that's some interesting stuff we got there. Let's go with Ross Stripling, right? I believe we've talked about him before on the podcast, and he's just been, keeping it rocking and rolling. He's finally getting the shot there that the Dodgers really never gave him like they should have. Toronto's looking a little bit smarter than at the LA at the moment. So on the year for Ross Stripling, man, these are great numbers. He's got a 3.12 ERA, a 108 WHIP, 57 innings, 46 Ks, so not that K per nine guy that he used to be, but he's got 4 wins. He even threw in a save at some point this year, But man, he's been pitching against good teams lately, and he's been doing all right. Against Boston his last time out, he went 5 innings. He had only 3 Ks, but a 3.60 ERA and a 1.20 WHIP. I'll take that against a hot Boston team, man. That Boston team's been on fire lately. The time out before that, he went out against a good White Sox team. He got the win, 6 innings, 5 Ks, a 1.50 ERA, and a clean 1 WHIP. Then he got spanked by the Yankees the time before that. But you know what, man? Everyone's getting spanked by the Yankees these days. So, Ross Stripling worth the shot, 40% owned here. Looks like he might get Tampa Bay his next time out. Then they're a good team, but that's somebody that he could handle. He's familiar with them in a team in his division. I think Ross Stripling here is a very good add. And if you added him, a few weeks back when we told you to, you've been money so far.
Yep. North Stripling's going to make them probably run the naked mile and not score a beat. But he's incredible. I've been saying for years, free
Yeah.
Stripling, free Stripling. Let's hope this sticks. He is having a great year so far with a 3 ERA. So let's go. And we're going to move on to our next guy here. So we're going to go with Graham Ashcraft of the Cincinnati Reds. Now we all know they're a horrible team, but Graham has been pretty good this year. He's one of the few people that didn't unload. Last 2 weeks, he did get lit up the one game, but his last outing was pretty damn great against San Francisco, who is a good ball club. And he got the W in 8 innings, got 8 Ks, a 2.25 ERA, and a .75 WHIP. I think he had a little flipsy-do over the last 2 before that, but then his total year has just been incredible. He's 4 wins, 27 Ks, and a 3.27 ERA with a 1.09 WHIP. I think right now he's only 25% owned in all leagues in Yahoo. I think that's somebody to go and add and at least hold until something happens, and then you decide from there. If he gets lit up every next week, you drop him. But he's going up against the Cubs this week, so it's definitely worth an add because the Cubs are. So that's friendly show, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, I'd say something else.
Yeah, so just to vibe off what my brother's saying here. Now, listen, Mr. Ashcraft, I was not very high on him. I know he is, his first like 5 starts. He looked really, really good, and kind of was like, all right, this guy might be something here. And then he had the 2 rough ones, and I was like, oh, this is the real Graham Ashcraft, right? But then he goes out, like Matt said, on the 24th against San Fran, he got the win, 8 innings, 8 Ks, and he just killed it. So it looks like he's adjusting back to the way they're adjusting to him. And that's what you like to see, from a starting pitcher. That's like, unlike a Blake Snell, who just does whatever he wants whenever he wants. This guy's like probably sitting there in the, Graham Ashcraft's probably in the room with the, the analytic guys, the trainers, and everybody say, hey, what could I do to be better? And he's actually listening and improving. So you like to see that from a young, what is he, 24-year-old player, right? And then, even Graham Ashcraft in 2021 in the minors, he had 22 starts, a 3 ERA, 11 wins, 4 losses, 111 innings, 112 29 strikeouts, and a 1.10 whip. So he has shown that he's a good pitcher in the minors before. Looks like at 24, is coming up to the bigs, and he's starting to show what he can do here. I'll tell you this, which I found very, very funny. As soon as I finished these show notes and I sent them to my brother Matt, somebody in our league snatched them up right away. And I was like, damn, they must have been reading my mind. Because, he was somebody that I wanted to talk about today. And he's looking like a very, very good ad. As my brother said, Graham Ashcraft is only 25% owned on Yahoo. So go pick him up for that Cub start this week, right? So we got our last starter here. And if you've watched any baseball over the last 5-10 years, you know who this guy is, Mr. Jose Quintana. I thought he was done, and I thought headed to the Pirates, he was like, let me get that last paycheck, and I'll see you guys after that. But he said, no, I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna be useful for the Pirates, right? And so far, Jose Quintana on the year, he's actually pitched 76 innings. He's got 67 strikeouts. He's got a 3.43 ERA and a 1.29 WHIP. And only one win because it's on the team, but he looks pretty good. I'll say that. Kind of shades of the old Jose Quintana when he was out there dominating for the White Sox. And he does get Milwaukee this week, which is a trickier team to pitch against. They got some power in that lineup. But you know what? If you're really hurting for a streamer, and all the other guys that we've named over the today's episode and Monday's episode are not available, he's 14% owned, Jose Quintana, so he's out there in leagues, right? He's somebody you can give a shot on. Now Matt and I are not saying he's going to go out there against Milwaukee and dominate, but you know what? Maybe you pick him up, you put him on the bench for Milwaukee, and maybe he has a better opponent the next time out. But he's somebody that you could go out there and add that's been having a good year. Once again, Jose Quintana.
Yeah, Quintana has always been a great talent. He has flangy problems out the wazoo. But I do like I do like what he's been doing recently. So he's definitely worth the speculative ad. And you know what? Last two starts of confidence. It makes me roll out that he's going to do the next one could be good. But what's the worst that happens? This is where you do it. So there is that possibility of him getting blown up. But if you're already hurting in ERA and WHIP, he's definitely
go for it. He'll get you some strikeouts. His strikeouts have been pretty good so far this year.
Exactly. So that's where you just want to blow up them counting stats. But I mean, right now with the way the last 2 weeks of the matchups, he may keep it down and keep the ERA going. So you know what? Let's see what happens. He's definitely worth an ad. I'm not running to get him, but you know what? That weekend start, that's might where it happened. But let's move over into his closers. Wow, a name I haven't seen in a very long time.
I know where you're going.
So I think we all haven't heard this because he's been forgotten, and that's Hunter Strickland. He is now on the Cincinnati Reds. I had no clue. I feel like he just fell off the face of the earth, and apparently he's closing.
It looks like it, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. He got 2 saves over the last week, which is definitely something that is valuable. What have I been saying to you? If they're getting the opportunities and you're desperate for saves, you scoop them up until they're not getting the opportunities anymore. So right now, Strickland, luckily he's not going for more than 1 inning for you, so I can feel confident without him killing it. But that the Cincinnati just can't figure out a closing situation, so maybe he can hold on to it because he was good in his heyday. He just hasn't been in 8 bajillion years. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, man. I was laughing because as soon as you said that, I was like, he's definitely going with Hunter Strickland. And you know what, guys? It's just more of an opportunity type of deal with Hunter at this age. I believe he's 33 years old, so he's getting a little bit up there. But you know what? If Cincinnati Reds are going to throw him out there in the 9th inning to save the games for him, he's already got 4 on the year. He's been doing it recently with all of the injuries that they've had piled up in the back of their bullpen. So you know what? Once again, 5% owned on Yahoo for Hunter Strickland. So if you need yourself some saves, if you're in one of those leagues where, there's just never any saves out there, this is a guy who's out there in almost every league right now that you could, just throw out there and then see what happens, right? So, we have another guy here that's probably not going to be, closing for too long. But while he's going to be closing, you totally need to add him, and that's AJ Minter of the Atlanta Braves, right? With Kenley Jensen looking like he's going to miss at least, the next, 9 days, not including yesterday. This is the guy. 33 innings for AJ Minter, 44 strikeouts, 1.64 ERA, and an 0.97 WHIP. Man, I think I don't know how many years Atlanta signed Kenley to, but I think AJ Minter is going to be the long-term solution for the Atlanta Braves bullpen. Man, this kid was always very hyped up to be that guy, and it looks like this year he is that guy. You even if right, you add him and Kenley comes back, he's still going to give you those counting stats, man. If you need your ERA lowered and your WHIP lowered, this is totally the guy to do it. At 28 years old, looks like he's finally breaking out here for the Atlanta Braves.
Yep. And I mean, to be honest, pitching is a chess game. So, especially in the closer role at high pressure, high leverage situations, I can understand why they trust him there. Been around for a bit, and also too, he's one of those guys like I was making fun of Stripling for, but not somebody I'd want as a starting pitcher. Yeah. But he always has a few innings of genius, and it's usually the first couple, and then he can't make it to the second time in the lineup. But luckily, when you're a closer, you only got to see them once. So, yes, and he throws great. He throws good stuff. So, I think at this point, he's definitely worth the shot. And if he's really figured it out, he could be somebody that converted to the closer role and possibly take this for the rest of this, well, not rest of the season, but, hold on to it, maybe turn it into a committee action with Jansen since, he's dealing with issues himself to try and keep health.
Well said.
And then next year, he's probably going to have the starting role. So
46% owned, by the way, guys. I mean, he's out there in half your leagues.
Yep. But that's all we got for today. Happy 4th to everybody. Enjoy the 3-day weekend. We won't be back until next Thursday, and we have some exciting news to talk about next Thursday.
Oh yeah, you guys don't want to miss next Thursday's episode. Mm-hmm. I know we're skimping out on you with the holiday here, but we're gonna make sure it's definitely worth it for you guys. You guys better be tuning in for next Thursday. Better be our most listened to episode. If you don't, you're missing out, guys. But until then,
peace.